You can learn this fast, just like my son did. When I handed him the welder for the first time, he was scared. He was worried about wasting metal, making a mistake, and the sparks. At first, he started as,
"Dad, this isn't fun."
And now, he's nearly stacking dimes. And I get it. The sparks, they can be painful. The molten metal seems like a lot to deal with. But realistically, there's only a small handful of things that we gotta do. Getting the right PPE on is the big first step in feeling comfortable. That involves a good welding jacket. And I'm not saying you have to go all the way up to leather, but certainly something to keep the sparks away. Good leather gloves and a welding helmet and all the right safety eyewear, ear protection. These are all things that make it a lot easier for a new person to get involved with welding efficiently. So really, feeling safe and you're not gonna get yourself hurt is the best place to start. The next part that gets really easily overlooked. You can't weld through that scale and rust. Getting your welds cleaned up beforehand is the best place to go, so that way you can actually focus on what's going on and you're not encumbered by the junk that you're trying to weld through. Whether you choose to use a grinding wheel or a flap disc is totally up to you. Personally, flap discs are the best kept secret that I wish I had known earlier in my welding and fabrication. They make such a huge difference in getting the paint and junk removed quickly and effectively without making big old nasty gouges in the material. The next part of this is you can't expect to have good results if you're just standing there trying to wave the torch at whatever works. You gotta have your elbows on the surface, braced up. You gotta be in a position that's comfortable so that way you're able to lay down a consistent bead.
Wow, that looks good.
The next essential step is most welders have a chart on the inside of the door that you're able to get the settings partly close. But that's going to depend on the situation, whether you need to increase or decrease one of the settings. As an example, if you're welding some thinner metal to some thicker metal, you're going to need to reduce the heat just a little bit to accommodate that. Otherwise, you're going to burn that thinner material all to pieces, create holes, makes a mess, not fun. But if you're going through something that has a wide gap, you may need a little bit more wire than heat. So you want to look for that bacon frying sound. Really makes a big difference in how it welds. The next item to keep track of, and this is a tuning thing and helps you determine what you like, is the push versus the pull. Frankly, it doesn't matter so much unless you're doing some extremely structural welding, but the truth is that oftentimes pushing the weld with a slight 10 to 15 degree angle behind it helps the visibility drastically. You're able to see more where you're going. Now, as far as penetration goes, I've seen things on both sides that show that pulling creates deeper penetration, whereas pushing makes the weld mound up just a little bit further. Your mileage may vary. This is a thing where it takes practice and understanding your own welder and how you weld personally. So for interesting comparison, you saw me, I pushed that one and pulled that one. The penetration on the pull is actually a bit deeper than the penetration on the push. And truth be told, both of those are perfectly acceptable welds.
Here's a pro tip for when you're trying to find where you're welding. On ledges like this, it's easier to see where you're going by pushing. Whereas here, since you're kind of up, top, down, you can easily pull.
Another important thing that often gets overlooked is how far is your wire sticking out. And also, if you've just welded, you've got kind of a possibly contaminated wire right there at the start of the weld, makes for extra sparks, slag, it just makes for some unfunness. So if you trim this off at about 3/8 to half an inch and get rid of whatever little jibby is on the end, it makes for a lot more satisfying results, and you're able to control things better as you go through the weld, as opposed to starting with a long stick out and having to wrestle it into place. Keeping your stick out consistent makes for the best possible weld puddle as you're going through your weld. As a fun side note, a lot of the lineman style pliers, they're about the right length. If you just set it up and then ping the tip off, it's about the right length and makes for a very consistent starting point. So by taking the time to make sure you're doing all these steps, ensures that the welds that you put down are far more consistent and more worthy of internet fandom. I mean, we don't want to be that guy that's out there with a crappy weld saying, hey, look at this. The internet loves to make fun of those, don't they? The most important thing to do is just to get started. My son, he designed this trailer for an ATV. We put it together. He did a majority of the work. I just coached him, showed him how to do some welding, how to set things up. He did the most of this. So get out to the garage, guys. let's go build something cool. Grab some scrap and go do some things.
Did we ever show the blueprint on camera?
Here's his blueprint for what he wanted to build. Pretty cool, isn't it? So, all from him. Hey, Riker.
Yeah.
Where's the end screen gonna be?
It's over there. Click right over there for more videos.
If you like this video, check this one out over here. I know you like that one too.